Nonso was the man who had it all: wealth, success, and respect. Yet every night, as he sat alone in his house, he felt a space in his heart and a quiet ache that all his riches couldn't fill. He had traveled far, met countless people, but somehow he was still waiting for someone special. His friends and family would tease him, saying, "Nonso, with all your wealth, when we will see you find a woman to share it with?" Then one day, his prayers were answered and his life changed. He met Uju. The moment Nonso saw Uju, he knew that he would do whatever it took to make her his. So he didn't waste time in approaching her. And before they knew it, they were sharing stories, laughters, and dreams under the moonlight. It did not take long before Nonso knew that this was the woman he wanted by his side. For months, they laughed together, talked on the phone until dawn, and shared each other's hopes and fears. Soon, Nonso proposed, and just like that, they were married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends, families, and loved ones. The entire town celebrated, as everyone knew Nonso was now finally complete. Their first year of marriage was filled with sweetness and joy, the kind of happiness that spills over and touches everything around it. Nonso would leave for his office in the mornings, but not without Uju waving him off at the door with a warm smile and a packed lunch. And every evening, as the sun dipped beneath the trees, he would return to find Uju waiting, a warm meal packed, and a hug that could calm down his nerves. Uju had a way of making every day feel like a celebration. When they cooked together, it felt like a dance. Nonso would chop the vegetables, and Uju would hum a tune, laughing as she gently stirred the pot. Their home was alive with joy, filled with the smell of Uju's cooking and the sound of their laughter. Weekends were even better. They would stroll through the town hand in hand, greeting the elders and playing with the children they were familiar with. Sometimes they would turn off their mobile phones to avoid calls and just be alone, just the two of them, while they talked about their dreams and goals. Uju dreamed of a family filled with children's laughter, while Nonso spoke of expanding his business and creating a legacy to pass down. On special days, Nonso would surprise Uju with gifts, little things that showed he was always thinking of her. One day, it would be a bracelet he spotted at the market. Another day, a beautiful dress that reminded him of her. And every time, Uju's eyes would light up with joy, as though she couldn't believe how lucky she was. Their love was the kind that made even the friends and family smile and say, "Ha ha ha, hey hey, this is how marriage should be, oh." Nonso felt blessed beyond words. And Uju, she was the happiest she had ever been. As the months passed, Nonso and Uju's love only grew, and soon they were blessed with a joyful surprise. Uju was pregnant. They celebrated with their families and friends, and Nonso promised her that he would be the best father, supporting her every step of the way. Uju's face glowed with happiness, and she could hardly wait to welcome their first child. But Faith had something even grander in store for them. When Uju finally went into labor, everyone was stunned. Instead of one child, she delivered two healthy, beautiful twins, a boy and a girl. Their home was now filled with the joyful cries of their babies, and Nonso was thrilled to see his family grow. He gifted Uju with jewelry, fine clothes, and anything she desired, believing these gifts would show her his appreciation. Barely a year after the twins' birth, Uju found out she was expecting again. This time, the news came with mixed feelings. Uju was still recovering from the twins, barely able to manage their care, the housework, and her own exhaustion. But Nonso insisted that all would be well. He believed that his role as the provider was enough, and everything else would naturally fall into place. When Uju gave birth to their third child, she was overjoyed, but clearly overwhelmed. Now there were 3 small children, each needing her every moment. The house was bustling with cries and laughter, but behind Uju's smile was a deep exhaustion. Every day became a whirlwind of cleaning, sweeping, and soothing the little ones, with Uju barely getting a moment to rest. One evening, Uju mustered the courage to ask Nonso for help. Nonso, my love, I am grateful for all you provide, but these children and the house, they are so much. Could you bring in a maid, someone to help me keep up with all? Or maybe even you yourself can help me once in a while with some little things here and there. Nonso looked at her with surprise. A maid, Uju? Why would we need someone else here? I provide everything we need, don't I? Food, shelter, all the comforts, you have it all. Why do we need anyone else? Uju tried to explain, her voice filled with quiet frustration. Nonso, it's not about money. The children are still so young, and I'm only one person. I can't do this all alone without breaking myself, Bikono. But Nonso was firm. He saw his role as only providing financially, and to him, that was enough. Uju, look here. My father never lifted a finger to do house chores, and neither should I. My job is to make sure you are provided for. Everything else is on you. Days turned into weeks, and Uju found herself slipping deeper into weariness. She tried again, gently suggesting that maybe, just maybe, Nonso could help her with small things around the house. But each time, he would shake his head and laugh it off, saying, No, Uju, I'm here to work hard outside. You are here to care for our home. That's how it should be, Biko. Don't disturb me. Slowly, bitterness grew in Uju's heart. She had always dreamed of a partnership, a love built on supporting each other. She watched as Nonso came home each night, his hands empty of the burdens that weighed her down. And while he continued to provide gifts and comfort, what she truly needed was his presence and a hand to ease her of the load, even if it was just for a little bit. Uju's laughter grew quieter, and the joy she once found in her family began to fade. Each day, she tended to their children, did the housework, and carried the weight of the home on her shoulders, but her heart felt heavy. She was tired of the work, and most of all, of the husband who wouldn't support her or allow her to get help. The sweetness of their first year now seemed like a distant memory. As the days grew harder, Uju felt her strength draining with each passing moment. She loved her children dearly, no doubt, but managing 3 little ones, the housework, and preparing meals for Nonso had become an endless circle. She found herself running from one task to the other, barely able to catch her breath. In the evenings, she would watch Nonso sit at the dining table, waiting patiently for his freshly prepared meals, unaware, or perhaps unwilling to acknowledge the toll it was taking on her. One evening, after putting the children to bed and finally finishing the dishes, Uju took a deep breath and sat across her husband. Nonso, my love, I know we talked about this before, but I have to ask again. If you don't want a housekeeper, maybe we could at least hire a chef, someone to help with the cooking. I just can't keep up anymore, Bikono. Nonso raised his eyebrows, clearly surprised by her request. A chef? Uju, why would we need a chef, eh? You know how I like my meals, fresh and homemade. A chef wouldn't know how to make my food just the way I like it. I understand, Nonso, Uju said. I've always cooked for you with love, but with 3 young children, I barely have time to breathe, let alone prepare every single meal. A chef could help with the basics and... No, Uju. Nonso shook his head firmly. I don't want anyone else handling my food. You know my taste better, and I don't trust a stranger in my kitchen. Besides, it's your role, isn't it? That is how it has always been. And after all, you don't even work. So please, stop complaining. Uju's heart sank. She couldn't understand why Nonso refused to see her struggle. She was no longer the joyful woman she once was. And even though she loved her family dearly, she felt trapped in a circle of never-ending chores. She had hoped that if Nonso didn't want to help directly, he would at least consider bringing in someone to ease the burden. But time and time again, his answer was the same. As the days passed, Uju found herself growing more resentful. She would cook his meals though, care for the children, and keep the house in order. But her smile faded, and her laughter was only a memory. Nonso's gifts and compliments felt empty, like trying to patch a cracked wall with flimsy paper. He never seemed to notice her exhaustion, and deep inside, Uju was beginning to wonder, was this truly the life she had dreamed of, or just the life she had been left with? One morning, as Nonso sat at the table savoring his freshly prepared breakfast, Uju approached him with a solemn look in her eyes and gave him a very big lie. Nonso, my parents are unwell. I need to go and stay with them for a week to help them recover, she said. I will need you to look after the kids while I'm away, Bikono. Nonso's face fell for a brief moment, but he quickly regained his composure. Of course, Uju. Go. Go and be with them. I will begin my annual leave tomorrow, by the way, so I'll be able to manage things here. Please, take some money and give my love to your parents. The next day, Uju left. For the first time, Nonso found himself alone in the house with their 3 young children. It was just him, his promise, and the tiny voices of his children filling the quiet house. The first day for Nonso was chaos. From the moment the children woke up, they needed everything at once: food, clean clothes, attention, and patience. Nonso scrambled to make breakfast, only to find that half of it ended up on the floor. His youngest child clung to his leg, crying for comfort, while the twins argued over toys in the other room. Every task seemed to take twice as long, and by the time he finally got them fed, he was already exhausted, and work hadn't even started yet. Trying to juggle the home while managing the children was no small feat. He would rush to prepare their meals, quickly pack them off to school, and then race back in the afternoon to pick them up, hoping he wouldn't be late. The children's needs never seemed to end. Nap times, snack times, and endless diaper changes left Nonso in a constant state of chaos. By day 3, Nonso's once proud confidence was replaced by clear desperation. The house itself now seemed to resist his efforts. Toys littered every corner, laundry piled up faster than he could manage, and dishes sat stacked in the zinc. Night after night, Nonso fell into bed, physically and mentally drained, only to be woken up by cries in the middle of the night. He found himself staring at the ceiling, wondering how Uju did this every single day without a word of complaint. As the days wore on, Nonso's longing for Uju's return grew stronger. He counted down the days, eager for her presence, her patience, and the balance she brought to their lives. He realized that Uju's quiet work was more valuable than he had ever imagined. Each moment she had spent caring for their home and children was a labor of love he hadn't truly appreciated until now. By the end of the week, when Uju finally walked through the door, Nonso's face lit up with relief. He rushed to embrace her, and the children, equally overjoyed, clung to her, laughing and chattering about everything they had missed. Nonso looked at her with a newfound respect, as if he was just seeing her for the very first time. Ujunwa, my love, Omalicha, he began a few hours later. I can't even begin to describe what this past week has been like. Hey, what? I don't know how you do it, day in and day out. My love, my sweet Tim, I owe you more than I ever realized. Uju smiled gently, but in her mind, she was laughing and talking. Shebi, you said I don't do any work other than to sit down at home all day. Oh yeah, now, why didn't you do macho with the kids? Mr. Businessman, Mr. 95, Mr. My job is to provide. Can you imagine men? If I didn't do this now, he would not understand my struggles though. Hey? The following week, Nonso hired a maid, making sure that Uju would never have to carry the entire load alone again. In the days that followed, he stepped in more often, helping with the children, cooking some of the meals, and taking on the small but meaningful tasks that at once seemed invisible to him. Nonso's appreciation for Uju deepened, and their bond grew stronger. He no longer took her work for granted, and with a new understanding, he valued every moment of her care and presence. In their home, respect and gratitude blossomed, and the love they shared was rekindled, now stronger and more resilient than ever. The moral of this story is that we should never take the efforts of others for granted. Each person's contributions, especially within a family, have value and plays an important role in keeping life balanced and fulfilling. Just because something seems effortless or invincible doesn't mean that it is easy. True respect and gratitude come from recognizing and appreciating the sacrifices and hard work of those around us. By acknowledging each other's contributions, we build stronger bonds and foster a supportive, loving environment where everyone feels valued. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your attentive ears. Now, what do you think about Uju's actions? Do you think she did well, or she could have used a better approach? I know that some women juggle it all, work and family, but I want to believe they have one help or two in one way or the other. But here is Uju, no help, yet she had 3 kids and she had to manage a home. So what do you think? Do you think she did well? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And if this is your first time here, don't be a stranger. Please click on the subscribe button to subscribe for more amazing folktale stories. We love you too. Thank you for viewing our content. Thank you for your support, and thank you so much for your love.